In this follow along, we're going to be doing the color portion of this Pixel Charizard tattoo. On the first episode, we did the outline to get here where we are at now. On this episode, we are going to be applying all of the color. I'm going to do this in a step-by-step manner so that way by the end of this video, we can accomplish this tattoo together. The design will be down in the description below so that you can download it, print, place, follow along on your end should you choose to do so. What I would like to do is start off by listing the gear that I'm going to be using. From there, we'll get into the technical application. So right here, I'm going to be using the MusoToku Mercury M-1 tattoo machine. This is going to be the 4.3 millimeter stroke version. I'm going to be using a piece of Reelskin fake skin. I am using dynamic black tattooing ink, and then I'm going to be using an assortment of mummy colored ink here for the color. And for the colors, I'm going to be using bright orange. I'm going to be using sky blue. I'm going to be using golden yellow, white. I'm going to have the hot pink as well and the orange. So these are the colors that I will be using. I'm going to start with the orange here, and then I'm going to do the darker pixels in orange, and then the body is going to go bright orange, and then from there we'll go ahead and do and white is going to go for the smaller details. Blue is going to go for the wings, and then we're going to do a little bit of pink right here in the tail. I'm going to apply these colors in a very specific fashion here so that way I don't get any staining or anything like that, because when I'm done with this design, my goal is to have it readable. I want to be able to have a 110% clean and readable tattoo when I am done applying all the colors, and in order to do that I have to do it in a series of steps. I'm going to start with the darkest color, and then I'm going to make my way on up to the lightest color. So from here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is get a needle. Most of the needles I'm going to be using is going to be this Mast 00 9-round mag. So that's the size that I'm going to be using for most of these fill-ins. Should that change, I'll go ahead and update you as I go. For the areas that have just one pixel fill-in, then I may just use like a round liner, a smaller needle configuration, so that way I can be really accurate with my deposits. Now, I have a discrepancy here. I have to use an orange and a blue, but I have to use like a sky blue, so a lighter version of a blue. I'm going to make that with this sky blue, and I'm going to make this one even lighter using this white just to resemble the eyes and the wings a little bit more on the original reference. So that's how I'm going to go about that. However, in the surrounding areas is orange. Now these two colors are going to be really easy to to stain one another. So from here I have to pick which one I want to go with first. I feel a little bit more confident starting with the darker tone of orange and then working my way on over to the blue and then back to the bright orange, or I can do dark orange, bright orange, and then blue. I feel like these are the only two practical options that I have, so I'm essentially going to have to choose one. Where I'm going to begin is by applying the darker pixels of orange here, and then from there I'll navigate to my next choice. When I get to that bridge, I will cross it to see what naturally feels better at that time. Starting from this side on up, I am on this side of the tattoo, so I'm much like the lining process, I'm going to start with the area that's close to me. So I'm going to start in this area. The first thing that I want to do is take a look at the areas that require me to have the darker tint of orange, and I'm essentially going to work section by section, ensuring that I deposit the darker shade of orange in all of these spots as accurately as I can. Now, tattoos aren't necessarily perfect, but we definitely want to do our best when we are applying them. First thing that I'm going to do is apply ointment to the area, so that way I moisturize the area before I actually start tattooing it. And then I've identified my first area, which is going to be this area right here, is going to go this orange. So since I am working on fake skin, I don't really want to go over the black area that I did too much there, as I don't want to start diluting and staining this orange that I'm depositing. I want to capture the colors as integrity as best I can. In order to do that, I'm just going to go right up to the edge as cleanly as I can, and then just use small circular motions. I'm also running at 5 volts even because I want a lower voltage, which is going to give me more time to work the area. I'm going to wipe away, and that's looking great. I'm actually going to continue this process here. I'm going to do the same thing, just kind of mapping out the boundary here, and then just using small circular motions from my A point to my B point to apply these areas like so. And then I'm essentially going to kind of keep this tempo throughout the entire process from beginning to end. I'm going to wipe away. And even when I wipe away, I kind of like wipe softly. I don't really want to wipe too hard, I don't want to pull the fake skin and kind of ruin the fake skin. You see I tip my mag there so I can get my mag at the very, very edge here. If this was real skin, we'd be able, like human skin, we'd be able to go up over the black a little bit, which makes the process a little bit easier. However, since we are on fake skin, I'm going to have to approach it like this to really take my time and get the best results when I'm done. I'm really thinking about that final read each and every step of the way. So that's the first part. I'm essentially going to repeat that with the other side. So the same thing, I'm just going to kind of establish the boundaries right here. Bring it back and forth like so. I'm going to go this way right here. I'm going to bring it around this way. I'm going to tip my mag again this way, just like we did on the other side. So that way I don't have to switch the needle out and go to like a round liner or smaller needle and kind of do everything with this one if I just kind of approach it correctly with the correct technique. Same thing right here. There we go. I'm going to dab away. I'm going to go back for some more ointment. And there we go. Now, there is, according to the reference right here on the right, there is a pixel that goes this color. Now, I like to have these sort of symmetrical. However, I remember the game too, nothing was ever symmetrical with the pixels. So if we want to follow it exact, we can. So what I'm going to do is, I think that for the sake of this reference, I think following exact would be ideal. However, you can keep it symmetrical. If you put it on this side, you can do this side. But according to the reference, this little square right here is pretty much the same tone as this one that I'm using for these colors that I chose. So what I'm going to do is kind of establish that boundary there and apply this as cleanly as I can. I'm going to go back for a little bit more ink so that way I have adequate ink flow. There we go. And then the same thing right here. Okay, so I'm going to go back for some more ointment, wipe away, and that looks great right there. I could do the same thing with this side. Again, it's going to be artist choice to each their own. You can use the stencil as a guide, you can use the reference as a guide, or you can input your own artistic input and keep everything symmetrical. I encourage you to do what feels most natural. What I'm gonna do is, let's say if the client brought me this design and they wanted it exactly like this. So if the client brought it to me, my logic is that they pretty much want it exactly as they see it. So for this demonstration, I'm going to approach it with that logic. I'm going to try to apply this as cleanly as I can in correspondence to the reference. So that's how I'm gonna go about that. Now, continuing to do so, if I move over to this middle section right here, this area goes this darker tone of orange, or this tone of orange rather, so we're gonna do that next. I'm gonna go ahead and put some ointment, dab away, and do this square, and even if I wanted, I can kind of dot everything like that with the edge of my mag that's going to go that color. So that way I kind of know already. And it's going to be this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And that'll be it for this area, and then we'll move on to the wing. So let me go ahead and fill these in right here. So all of those squares need to go that color there, or this color that I'm using. And to do that, I'm going to repeat the same thing. So I'm just going to bring it down, go back and forth like so. So that's how I'm going to go about that. So you can kind of see I'm using the shape of the mag to my advantage. That's how I'm able to deposit the ink here, resembling the pixels as cleanly as I can, because the shape of the mag kind of really fits well. I also chose a mag that was small enough to be able to get into these crevices and in these nooks and crannies here that I'm tattooing into. So there's that too. You want to pick a needle that's going to reflect the size of the line weight that you actually need. Now this area is a little bit tight here, so I'm going to see if I can tip my mag and kind of just fill it in like this, while still capturing the integrity of the pixel. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side over here. And when I wipe away, I wipe really soft because I don't want to like damage the skin. I don't want to pull any like loose pieces of the skin off from the black. I don't want to fade any of the colors. Just things like that. So I'm really mindful of when I wipe. And that sort of like habit kind of translates over to human skin as well. I'm really gentle with human skin when I wipe as well. So I'm just mindful of little things like this as I am tattooing. And then from here, I can kind of move on up to the top right here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of establish this boundary here, like so. And then small circular motions until I reach the end of it. I'm going to go back for some more ink. Finish that area right there. And then I'm going to go and move on to these other four pixels right here. And then we'll move on to any surrounding areas that need this tone as well. And then kind of repeat this process with the other colors as well. So it's just going to be a really slow, gradual process of applying color, and you really have to take your time with it for the best results. And I'm going to go this way as well. Taking a look at the other areas, I noticed that these pixels right here as well, this one, this one, this one, and this one all go this tone. Now, these areas right here are a bit tighter, so if you don't feel, if you're like just starting out and you don't feel comfortable using a mag like this, you feel like you're going to stain the skin or just simply not be able to deposit accurately in a pixel form, then you could switch to another needle if you have them available. I would recommend doing so, especially if your natural response is you don't feel comfortable applying that. If that's your first thought and instinct there, then you should probably adjust and accommodate to that. And then over time, you'll gradually kind of just develop and become acquainted with using needles in various ways and getting comfortable with that, but it does take time to develop into. I'm going to do that now. And then I notice that when I can't get right to the wall, I'm gonna go ahead and tip my mag like that, kind of line it like so. So that's how I'm gonna go about applying that. I'm gonna go back for some more ink here, and then I'm gonna finish applying this area too right here. Just like that. And then from here, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do that with this other one over here and this pixel right here. Actually missed that one there. So I'm gonna go about it like that. I'm gonna go back for some more ink here, and I'm gonna apply this last pixel. Now, as a beginner, it's important to know there is a lot of variables. I would say there's a lot of, like, I guess, movement within a tattoo. What that means is there's a lot of moving components and things that we have to align when we're applying them. So there's a lot of components that work at once together. Now, if you happen to make mistakes like deposit a shade wrong or something like that, maybe even smear your tones, that's perfectly okay. Just kind of finish the process, I would say. Finish the tattoo and see what results you come up with and learn from the mistakes that you made. If there's any way to kind of like change what you were doing or a better technique, then try it again and then use those techniques on the next time around. That's how we find a gradual momentum of progression. So from here, I got all of those pixels. I'm gonna move on over to the wing, and I just confirmed now that all of those do go that tone. So those are good. I'm gonna move on over to the right side of the tattoo, and I'm gonna focus on these areas right here. So the areas that go this tone are this pixel right here. So this pixel goes this color right here. There we go. And then from here, it's going to be this one right here. This one also has a darker tone right here. And then this one up here as well has a darker tone. And before we make any like movements, you always want to confirm, make sure everything that you're doing actually goes that color. So this part right here as well goes this color. So that one goes like that, and then from here I'm going to go back this way and finish this area right here. And nothing really changes. I'm using the same voltage, I'm using the same technique each and every time. Maybe I will go right to left or adjust it, go up and down. You get the idea, but overall my tempo pretty much stays the same. Doesn't matter what color I am using. There we go. And then from here, I'm going to navigate on over to the left and then see if there's anything on this side that needs to go that color. And it'd be the same thing. So over here, it's going to be this pixel along with this pixel right here. And we're going to go ahead and fill those in now too. I feel like finding the tempo, much like making music. I'm not sure if I have any music makers here, but much like making music, when we create a song, you pretty much want to find the tempo earlier on. You want to know if you're going for a fast pace or a slow pace. So that I apply to tattooing, because early on I need to know what tempo I'm going to move at. My tempo really never changes at all. So like once I found my tempo and my settings that I felt comfortable at, I kind of just stayed there. And the next part you're going to want to do is fill in this area right here. I'm going to kind of repeat that process. You always want to make sure that you have adequate ink flow. I have a little bit too much there. Let me go ahead and clean that up. And let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. You like it?
I like it. You burning?
Before I move on, I want to confirm that I do got all of the dark orange filled in and adjusted accordingly here. And as far as I can see, everything that goes dark orange is already deposited. Now I'm going to move on over to the main color, the bright orange. So naturally, I'm just going to go ahead and do the bright orange, and then I will do the blue. And if I wanted to, I could even go back and forth between the blue and orange right here. I really don't feel like it matters much. As long as we do our best to keep applying it the same way that we're applying it, we should get a fairly clean read using fake skin. Human skin doesn't stain the same way as fake skin. So fake skin, in my opinion, is a little bit more difficult to work with, especially when it comes to color. So from here, I'm going to acknowledge the first area. I'm going to essentially repeat the process. I'm going to acknowledge where the light orange goes, and then I'm going to deposit it there. And for now, it's going to be right here in this area. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start right here. You always want to make sure that you have adequate ink flow. I'm going to go back for a little bit more here. And I'm essentially going to get this boundary established. So I'm going to do the same thing, essentially kind of turn my mag and accommodate for the areas that I need to pack in here as cleanly as I can. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to get a little bit of ointment, place it on, and I'm always going to try to wipe away from the area that I'm tattooing. So like at this area right here, I'm going to try to wipe this way as to not smear and have the inks interfere with one another. I'm just going to go over one last time with a little bit of circular motions here to kind of fill in everything in and finalize it like so. And I'm essentially going to repeat that with all the other areas that go that color. And I do feel like that's a nice variation, and I feel like it matches up pretty well to the Charizard. One thing that's important to note is if you don't have the colors to match up exact, even if your tones aren't the same, I would still recommend trying to finish the course here, this follow along, and then see the results when you're done. That way you can kind of see what you needed to do for your colors. Try the follow along again, and then accommodates, that way you can get the better results that you're looking for. Like so. Start right here and then make my way on over. I'm gonna go back for some more ink here so I have adequate ink flow. I'm going to do the same thing, running at the same voltage. I'm just using small circular motions to get these deposits in there cleanly. And I want to make sure that I'm reaching optimal saturation as well. I want to try to be in and out as quickly as I can. I'm going back for some more ink here. Same thing over here. Same thing right here. So you kind of see that I'm gonna really take my time, identify the area that I'm gonna be tattooing, and then I kind of problem solve and figure out how I'm gonna cleanly apply that area. And that's pretty much the entire tattoo. And every single tattoo that we do is gonna be a series of choices that we have to make that'll benefit the design and the client's wants and needs best. I do like the way that this is coming out. I feel like it's coming out nice and clean. I'm going to keep this going here as all of this area goes this lighter orange. There we go. I'm gonna wipe away, and that area looks nice and clean. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next area over here, and then kind of just repeat this process all the way throughout. Make sure that you have adequate ink flow before you go back and deposit any ink here. I'm gonna do this one over here. There we go. I'm gonna go back for some more ink. I always want to make sure I can't really exhaust that I have that adequate ink flow, because if my technique could be correct and it can be aligned, even if it is, and I don't have adequate ink flow, then I'm not gonna get consistent results. You gotta have that ink flow smoothly going, or smoothly flowing rather, smoothly flowing. Forgive me there. Same process, small circular motions. Still using the same 5 volts that I've been using. I like to have a lower voltage because it gives me a bit more time to work on the skin. I'm also finding that if I draw in too much ink, I'm going to experience a lot of pulling, as you see here. So that's something that I'm going to need to consider when using the lighter colors. There we go. I'm gonna get some ointment, wipe away, see if there's anything else I need to patch up. If there is, I will. If not, I'm gonna continue to the next part. Naturally, I feel right now would probably be a good time to switch on over to the blue, get my really light sky blue going, and then from there I can go back to the orange when I am done with the blue. But I want to apply the blue right now, and then I'll come back to the orange. I feel like it'd be much easier to navigate the orange around the blue instead of the blue around the orange, because there's less of the orange, so I feel like it'd probably be easier to work it that way. So that's the reason why I'm going with the blue right now. And what goes blue are these areas right here and the wings. I'm going to be using a like sort of sky blue tone, as that's what the reference says. And just to kind of confirm, this area goes blue, this area, and this area. So those 4 areas all go this color right here. The way that I'm going to apply it is going to be the exact same way, where I essentially establish the boundary and then kind of just pack back and forth. I'm gonna wipe away, see where we are at. That's a nice color blue. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of continue. Even if your blue comes out a little darker. What I noticed is even lighter colors tend to come out a little bit darker on fake skin. So that's perfectly okay. If your tones come out darker than what you wanted, again, going back to, as I mentioned earlier, finish the session out and then kind of look at all of your work from a bird's eye view when you're done, and then see what you don't like about it. Take notes on what you don't like and then readjust those when you try this follow along again. I assure you, if you kind of approach it with a level-headed practical approach, you will see gradual improvements. I have a tattoo book that teaches us the fundamentals of tattooing, like needle depth, hand speed to voltage, packing. And I do talk about the idea that tattooing is a slow burn process that requires ongoing learning. And that's really what it is. It's a slow burn process that requires lots and lots of learning. And there's no way around the progress but through it. If you were interested in that book, it's called The Fundamental Tattoo Handbook, and it is available on my Amazon author page. I'm going to turn the machine this way. There we go. I'm going to put some ointment, wipe away, and see exactly where I am at. If there's any spots that need to be touched up or filled in, I'll do those as I go. And then from here, I want to make sure that I have adequate ink flow. I'm just going to keep applying these areas. You're going to see that there's the orange areas right here. And how I'm going to tattoo these orange areas is exactly like this, where I just go up to the edge as much as I can, and I just simply deposit as cleanly as I can. The process is not going to get much more complicated than that. I'm just going to try to do as best I can with these deposits, depositing them as accurately as I can. Forgive me for that there. Let me dab away. So one thing is, you're going to notice that when I wipe, I'm going to wipe this way, and I want to make sure that I'm not wiping with areas that have a lot of blue ink there, excess blue ink. I don't want that. I'm going to dab right there. I'm going to dab right there. I'm going to go ahead and go for some more ink here. I'm going to wipe away in this area. And then I'm just going to kind of tip my mag again here so I can get close to this edge here. And then I'm just going to kind of do that as needed. Go all the way up to the edge. Dab away. I'm going to go back for a little bit more ink here. Wipe in this direction. And I'm going to continue to fill in these areas as cleanly as I can. I'm actually going to Do a little bit of cross hatching just to kind of solidify everything. Saturate it a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to dab away, put some ointment in an excess amount, wipe away, and see the results. I do feel like that looks nice and clean. I'm going to go ahead and navigate on over to the next blue areas. Next part I'm going to do are these eyes right here, the pixel eyes. And I'm just going to kind of apply it the same way. I'm going to start one direction and then kind of just work my way down like so. And I'm essentially going to use the width of the mag, and I'm going to let that do all the work for me. So I'm just going to kind of run it back and forth like so. You can kind of see that I accomplished saturation in a pixel form here. Kind of do a little bit of dots there, or technique like dots, but using a mag to kind of just fill it in a little bit more. I'm going to do the same thing, tip the mag and then do it this way. There we go. Wipe away, see what else I need to do here. And then from here, I'm going to go and then finish this last wing right here. And then I'm just going to kind of approach it the same way. And this wing I'm going to wipe that way, away from all of the orange right here. So I'm going to start in this area. I'm going to dab. And then I'm going to ointment, wipe that way. That's fantastic. And I'm going to kind of repeat that with all of these surrounding areas. So right here, for example, make my way this way. I'm going to apply ointment, wipe away that way, and then I'm going to keep doing that in just small circular motions from right to left. The idea is to identify my point A and B, align my mag, and then start from one end and then go to the other. So from right here, here's my A point, and then here's my B over here, or A, B. It really doesn't matter which way you want to go. I'm going to start at one end and then essentially make my way on over to the other using my mag like so. And I'm going to come back around and kind of square it off here like so. And then from here, I'm going to go back for some more ink, put ointment, wipe away. I'm going to dab, and then I'm going to kind of turn my, not this way, straight this way, I'm going to turn it this way, and then pack like that. So when I go from A to B, I pack at a slant, forgive me. At these edges right here though, I will kind of line it up straight away like this, just to establish the boundary, and then I'll pack at a slant though. There we go. I'm going to wipe away. I'm going to go back for some more ink here. I'm going to get ointment and then wipe in the opposite direction. And then I'm just going to kind of keep establishing the boundaries, and then I'll fill everything in. Same thing right here. Kind of see I slant my mag there. Like so. Again, slant means instead of packing like this all the way that way, I'm just going to slightly turn it this way at a slant and pack like this. That's really the only difference. I get better results when I pack at a slant. Some areas are going to require me to pack this way. However, overall packing at a slant allows me to accomplish optimal saturation here. I'm going to dab here. I'm going to place some ointment, wipe away. I'm going to go back for some more ink here, make sure I have adequate ink flow. Slant my mag. And pack this way. Small circular motions. Like so. I'm going to repeat that all the way down. I'm going to go back for some more ink. I really can't exhaust how important ink flow is. I'm going to dab, go back for some more ink, and then pack in this last area right here. Now from here, if it's not fully saturated, I'm going to go back and kind of look at everything. If there's anything that needs to be saturated, I'm going to go ahead and do so now by doing the same thing, but I'm going to do cross hatching this time. Instead of going right and left, I'm going to go up and down. I'm going to get a little bit more ink here and repeat. I'm going to go and get some ointment, wipe away, and overall I feel like I got a really good read there. Not really too much staining or if any going on at all with the orange and the blue, which is a very good sign. So I'm hoping that I can kind of repeat this with the orange and the remaining colors. I'm going to do the lightest colors last, being white, and then the sort of tan color. But right now, so far so great. From here, the blue is done completely, and I can now go back to the orange and then finish with all of the lighter orange. Still the same voltage. I'm always making sure as well that I'm packing all areas wall to wall as cleanly as I can. I don't really want to leave any areas exposed or anything like that. So if I see any areas I need to pack, I'm going to go back and do so. I almost went over that darker area, forgive me. And then from here, I'm going to keep going with orange in these areas, and this is going to be all the bright orange. And I'm going to approach it the exact same way. So with these areas, I'm just going to kind of identify my A point, start there as cleanly as I can, and then kind of make my way on over to my B point. So I'm going to turn my mag completely around here. I'm going to dab. I'm going to dab right here, apply some ointment, wipe away, and repeat. So I'm going to go to this side over here. I'm going to go back for some more ink, make sure that I have adequate ink flow, and I'm going to kind of continue that approach. Now, that was fairly smooth. I'm going to kind of keep the same pressure, same approach, because I feel like if I press a little bit more, I may actually kind of end up pulling some ink, which is what I don't want. So I'm just going to take my time. There we go. I'm going to put some ointment, keep wiping in the opposing direction away from any areas that could potentially run staining or run the risk of staining. Turn my mag around the opposite direction. I never really use my mag this way at all, but for this specific circumstance, I will. From here, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to wipe away. I feel like that's great right there. I just have to bring this up a little bit more to the edge here. There we go. Same thing, dab, ointment, wipe away, and that looks fantastic right there. I'm going to really go above and beyond here, though, to see if I can get as accurate as I can get it, and I want to kind of push these orange areas a little bit more out. So from here, that's fantastic. That looks great, nice and vibrant, and it's popping. I'm going to go ahead and kind of continue. So the next areas that need to go orange is going to be this little area right here. Now, this pixel under here, this one's going to go white. So I'm going to kind of set the boundary right here. I'm going to dab, apply some ointment, wipe away. I feel like that looks nice and clean. Just gonna go up to the edge here. Make sure I'm getting all the way up to each pixeled edge. And that right there looks fantastic. I'm loving the way this is coming out so far. I'm gonna go ahead and continue to apply this area now, and then we'll kind of continue to all the other orange areas. So to confirm the next orange area, I'm going back for some more ink as well. It's gonna be right here. I'm going to dab. Put some ointment, wipe away, and I feel like that's very clean right there, or as clean as I can get it here. Just gonna go up to the edge and continue. So the next part that needs to go orange is gonna be the wing area right here, and then we're gonna move on over to the face and a little part of this tail area right here. So just to confirm, I'll go ahead and kind of mark the area. So all of this is gonna go orange. This area goes orange, and then all of that area on that side is gonna go orange as well. So to do that, I'm gonna repeat. I'm gonna go back for a little bit more ink here. Let me dab that away. I wanna get a clean area of my napkin before I continue here. Get a little bit of ointment. And then I'm going to kind of turn my mag with the hole facing that way. So that way I can get a fine line on this side right here. There we go. Reminds me of a little Tetris L. Now I want to be really careful with wiping, as I did stain the blue a little bit, but I was able to get it off as it didn't seep too far into the layers. So I'm grateful for that there. I'm going to kind of do the same thing over here. Tip my mag and kind of get this boundary going. Gonna dab and wipe in that direction. Very delicately using the edge of my mag to make sure that I capture the integrity of the pixel. And it's really important to me that I'm capturing the pixel integrity each and every time I deposit the ink, as that's what's going to heal and read. That's what the client agreed upon. The client wanted a pixel tattoo, so we have to stay true to that request. I'm going to dab, put some ointment, wipe in the opposite direction, and then just fill in this last area right here before I move on to the next area. Go back for a little bit more ink. I'm gonna dab right here, apply some ointment, wipe in the opposite direction, and that looks fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and continue applying the face now, and then the last part of the tail here. So the entire Charizard face now, all that's left besides these open pixels, those pixels are going to go white. Everything else is going to go this vibrant orange along with that part of the tail here. So I could essentially kind of start anywhere. I'm just going to start this area and then kind of work my way. There we go. I'm going to apply some ointment and then I'll wipe away as best I can, lightly, kind of up and like a taper wipe, so to speak. And then I'm going to kind of continue packing here with a slant, same voltage, 5 volts, small circular motions from point A to B. I'm going to dab, apply some ointment, wipe away, and continue. So I'm going to go back for some more orange here. And this orange goes all the way up to right here. Like so. And then we're just going to fill in that area as well as the rest of the head here. So I'm going to turn my mag like this. Slant it and go back over just to kind of solidify everything and fully saturate. Maybe not solidify, but the word saturate is what I was looking for. I'm going to dab, absorb most of the ink, and then wipe away. I'm going to go back for some more ink here. Wipe away. That's fantastic. I'm going to do the same thing. Dab. Dab. Wipe away. And repeat. I'm going to dab, wipe, and repeat. I'm going to actually get a new napkin here so that way I don't stain any of the other colors. And I'm going to repeat that process here. So essentially I'm just kind of establishing the boundaries here, and then I'm just going to fill in everything orange once all of that has been done. so. Same thing over here, basically getting the eyes boundarized right here. Apply some ointment. There we go. I'm going to turn my mag to kind of help me out here. Wipe away. Wipe away here. I'm going to go back for some more ink because I want adequate ink flow. I do feel like I'm getting a nice, clean, vibrant deposit, which is exactly what I'm going for. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to kind of keep working at this tempo since this tempo is working out really well for me. This is the tempo that I feel comfortable at. I'm going to dab, wipe away, and then continue. Make sure that I go back for some more ink. Still the same thing, running at 5 volts, tacking at a slant, using small circular motions. It's basically how I'm going to go about it all the way through. I'm going to dab, apply a generous amount of ointment, and wipe up away from any of the other colors. And that looks clean right there. I'm going to continue here. So I'm going to apply some ointment. I'm going to turn my mag this way here because the back of my mag produces a finer line. You can see it kind of provides me with more accuracy. So that's why I'm going with turning my mag around like so. Apply a generous amount of ointment, wipe away, and that looks fantastic. I'm going to go back for some more orange here. Same thing there, small circular motions, and you're gonna see that I'm pretty much keeping the same tempo, so that way I produce these results. I wanna have this like picture quality where I can take pictures of it when I am done, and the only way to finish with that sort of result is for my technique to be correct each and every time I deposit the needle into the ink. I deposit the needle into the skin, and every time I commit to one of these techniques, I have room for error. So I'm just trying as best I can. I'm not going for perfection, but I am just simply trying to the best of my ability. And I feel like that's going to be more than enough here. If you're not happy with the results that you've got, you'll hear me say it a lot in my follow-alongs, kind of remain patient, calm, cool, and collected. This is more of an advanced design, so if it's not coming out to your liking, finish the design and then take notes about what you don't like, about the results that you got, and then from there you can come back within a day or so, retry this design, and then kind of repeat that process. So that's looking fantastic right there. The next part is going to be just this little orange area right here, and then we can move on to the next color, which I believe is going to be like maybe a beige or a peach sort of color. We'll see here in a moment. So the same thing, we're going to kind of get these boundaries going. I'm going to dab, apply ointment, wipe away. And then from here I'm going to get a little bit more ink and then just finish this last little pixel right here. And I'm going to dab, pick up as much ointment as I can, and then use some ointment to wipe away all the excess, and I believe that's going to be it for the orange. Just like that, ointment, wipe away. And I believe that is officially it for all of the orange. The next color that I'm gonna do is gonna be this hot pink. It's gonna go up here on like the fire portion of the tail. Luckily it's gonna be the pixel way to the top. It's only gonna be that color pink. So I'm just gonna do that one now, knock that out, and then I'm probably gonna go to like the beige sort of peach color. For this one, it's gonna be the golden yellow that I will be using. And then last is gonna be the white. So that's exactly how I'm gonna play that out. Now I'm gonna do hot pink in this top area right here. So I'm gonna get a little bit of pink here, and I'm gonna be using just a 7 round shader. Actually, I wanna make sure that my wipe is clean here, so that way I don't stain anything as you see me doing here. And then once I'm set, I'm going to just simply apply this as cleanly as I can. I'm still going to run at 5 volts just because I'm using a round shader. I really don't feel the need to necessarily change my voltage. I kind of just stay at the same tempo. Now I went with a round shader because I had this needle kind of hanging around, and instead of using a mag on such a small portion, I'm just going to use this one simply because I had it available to me here. It also kind of demonstrates how to do that with a round liner or a round shader. Because if I'm using a round liner, I'm going to approach it the exact same way as I'm doing here. So I'm going to apply some ointment. Make sure that I'm getting all the way to my A and B points, all the way up to the edge. There we go. So I'm going to dab, ointment, wipe away, and there we go. So that looks great. From here, the next color is going to be the golden yellow, and we're going to put those in those little areas, and then from there, white is last. For the golden yellow, I'm going to be depositing that in a couple of places in correspondence to, or according to the reference rather. It's going to be on the stomach and then up here. And the area where it's gonna be at up here is gonna be, bear with me, it's gonna be right here. And the yellow's gonna go right here. And then over here we have like another variation of orange. I think for that small variation I could add a literal dot of orange to this yellow right here to kind of make that off tone there. So for this I'm gonna kind of continue. And this is gonna be one of the last colors here. So from here I'm gonna start at point A, same thing, and then kind of make my way on over to point B. And then you're gonna notice that I'm gonna be packing at a slant as you see me doing here. I'm going to dab, wipe away. I'm going to dab, same thing up here. Identify my A point, and then make my way on over to my B point. Still running at the same voltage, I haven't changed that. I'm going to go back for some more ink here. Get this going. Small circular motions from point A to point B. I'm going to dab, apply some, that's kind of way too much, apply some ointment, wipe away here, and then I'm going to go ahead and go back over these little areas right here just to accomplish optimal saturation. I'm going to do that using cross-hatching motions. There we go. I'm going to dab, apply ointment, wipe away, and I'm going to continue to apply the yellow in this area up here, which is going to be right here. I'm going to put some ointment, wipe away, and that right there appears to be solid pretty much first try. I'm just going to do a little bit of cross hatching. Kind of finish it out there. And there we have the yellow areas. From here, I have a lighter tone of orange that's different from these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a drop of the bright orange to this current golden yellow that I'm using. Like just one literal drop. I'm going to mix that in there, and then I'm going to come back and then apply those two. And then after that, we can either call it a session, and we can use the negative skin tones as white, or we can go in there and actually add white. That's going to be 110% up to you. This little part of the flame actually presents a great opportunity for us to kind of use a little bit of our exercise, a little bit of our color mixing abilities, and try to get a tone that we'd like. I just changed the tone just a little bit, just to notice a gradual, subtle difference. It shouldn't be too heavy in terms of difference, and it's not going to be necessarily exact from, as it's not going to look exact like the reference. However, it should have a slightly darker tone. If not, I can always go back and adjust accordingly. So that's what I was kind of mentioning, that this is a good part to exercise our color mixing abilities and figure out if we like this area or if we don't. So here what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I capture the integrity of the pixel. Wipe away to see what it looks like, and there's definitely a difference there. I'm going to go ahead and kind of repeat that with this other area up here. I'm gonna dab away. And I do like that subtle difference. There is in fact a small difference between these little flames and that yellow one. So that right there, I feel reads nicely. And it does reflect the integrity of the reference. Let me know what you think about that. Slightly darker, not too much at all. So sometimes less is going to be more, and I feel like this situation it is, and it does reflect that. It does have like a sort of pixel flame approach there, or a pixel flame read. Now, that is it for the color. I guess the last color here would be the white. Now, the thing is, we have the skin tone showing, or we can add actual white. This is going to be 110% up to you. I think for the sake of this demonstration, I should probably go all the way through and add the white as well. So I'm going to add the white to the last remaining pixels. I'm going to do that with a CNC Police 7-round liner, so that way I can be really accurate with my deposits, and I don't want to contaminate or stain the surrounding areas. So for this section, I feel like this is going to be optional. If you don't have white, then you are officially done. But if you do have white and you want to kind of push your boundaries here, then I encourage you to kind of still follow along here and add the white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the point of my needle to establish the boundaries first, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply the inside afterwards. So pretty much the exact same way, still running at 5 volts, haven't changed that, haven't had the need to change the voltage. And I'm working that in there as cleanly as I can, and adding the white does make it pop a lot more. So I personally think adding the white is a better way to go. So if you're looking for that wow factor and you're wanting yours to pop, adding white may be the trick. So I'm going to do the same thing, kind of identify my point A and B, and then just slowly apply the white as cleanly as I possibly can here. Just going back and forth. I'm gonna get some more ink here. I'm going to dab. So the process is pretty straightforward, meaning like there's not really much for me to guide you through on besides just kind of applying it. So basically you establish your boundary, the barrier that you're not going to pass, and then you kind of just fill it in. So here we go. Here is my established boundary. And we're going to fill it in, and I want to make sure that I stay true to the pixel integrity as cleanly as I can here. I'm going to go back for some more ink. You kind of see I'm just dabbing dots here, simply applying the white with dot work, which I feel is acceptable. Fantastic. And then I'm going to do the eyes and these little areas right here on this side, and we are done. I'm going to dab, put some ointment. I'm going to dab away, apply some ointment. And I'm really paying attention, like if there's any areas that are kind of like lighter in the white or it looks patchy, I pay attention and I just simply go back and I make it right. I don't want to rush, so I'm prioritizing the look versus the time. And those little whites really do make it pop, so I prefer to use the white. Same thing over here. I'm going to dab, go back in for some more white ink, wipe away. Dab, apply ointment, wipe away. And the same thing over here. Dab away. I'm going to go back for some more white here. Apply the ointment. Use a dot, and there we go. So that right there I feel is how I'm going to go about it. So from here I'm going to kind of dab lightly. Don't want to stain anything. And this is officially a completed session. This tattoo is done. So here are the final results that I got. This is what I am working with. I am very happy with the results that I got. I'm very proud of these results right here. Now, if this is your first time packing on fake skin, you'll notice that it's not easy to get a saturated look. It does require patience, it does require ongoing learning, and it does require a lot of technique to get a nice clean read. If you got staining, then you're going to see that it does require technique and time to develop in a manner that allows us to apply tattoos in a clean, solid, consistent, saturated manner. What I am saying is, if you're not happy with the results that you got, I would encourage you to remain calm, cool, and collected. Come back in about a day or so, take down notes of what you don't like about your current results, and then try to figure out ways to correct those. If you have any questions on your mistakes or anything like that, please feel free to drop it in the comment section below. I'll do my absolute best to help you in the best possible direction. But my point here is remain calm, remain cool, remain collected. Come back in a few days or maybe even 2 days. Try this again with the improvements that you want to make, and you are going to see gradual improvements. There is no way around progress but through it. Tattooing is a slow burn process that really does require a lot of ongoing learning. And once again, we have to go through it as there's no way around it. But I am happy with the results. Mistakes were definitely made, such as right here, for example, these little black lines. I kind of intersected them in the pixels. However, that's something that I'm going to have to learn from. I have to pay a little bit more attention the next time I apply a design like this. Even if I were to outline all of these little areas with black, I still feel like it would have a really cool read. However, that's not what I was going for this specific one right here. So that's really the only mistake I feel like I made. Other than that, I'm very, very happy with the results. It's so small to be discouraged. Every mistake is going to be different. Once again, if you're not happy with your results, try this again in a few days, and I assure you, you are going to see gradual improvements. As I mentioned, if you have any questions before I go, please drop a comment below. I'll do my best to assist in the best possible direction. If you like this, follow along. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and give this video a thumbs up, as I will be bringing more like this. I do have loads more follow-alongs available on my Patreon like this in a step-by-step manner. So if you want to do more tattoos like this with me in a step-by-step manner, check out my Patreon. That'll be it for this one. I do appreciate you watching this with me. I appreciate you following along. Thank you for your time and support. I hope you have a great day.